Growing up with my brother felt like growing up with a built in best friend. Because no matter how chaotic life became outside our house, I always knew there was somebody sitting beside me ready to laugh at the same jokes, play the same games, and make ordinary days feel unforgettable. There were so many good times with my brother, and I really just wanted to share that and kind of, flesh out something that would be worthy of sharing and kind of just make him a video. And this is kind of what that is. Some of my happiest childhood memories were sitting on the floor together playing Super Mario 64 for hours, taking turns every time one of us lost a life, arguing over who got the better controller, and somehow turning a simple game into an entire world we shared together. The sound of the N64 turning on still feels tied to memories of my brother, because those late nights playing games together became more than entertainment. They became comfort, bonding, and proof that happiness can come from the simplest moments. We grew up catching Pokemon together in Pokemon Red and Blue and pretending those tiny pixel creatures were the most important thing in the world. And somehow those memories still feel alive years later because of who I shared them with. Even when we fought over stupid things like whose turn it was or who cheated in a game, those arguments never erased the fact that underneath it all, we cared about each other more than we knew how to say at the time. And looking back now, I realized my brother was my safe place long before I understood what emotional safety ever meant. Because being around him made life feel less heavy and the world feel less lonely. We could spend an entire afternoon doing absolutely nothing important, just playing games, laughing at random stuff, and talking about dreams we had as a kid. And somehow those ordinary moments became some of the most meaningful memories of my life. And growing up together meant we experienced the same childhood from two different perspectives. There's something powerful about having another person who remembers the same rooms, the same jokes, the same holidays, and the same versions of you that no longer exist. I still remember staying up late together when we were supposed to be asleep, whispering about games, movies, or random ideas because neither of us wanted the night to end. And there's a special kind of bond that forms when two brothers spend years side by side learning how to grow up together, making mistakes together, and figuring life out together one day at a time. Some people search their entire lives for somebody who truly understands them, but I was lucky enough to grow up with that person living right beside me the entire time. We'd play multiplayer games together that taught us teamwork before we even realized it. And because every victory felt better when we won together, and every loss somehow felt funny instead of frustrating, because we had each other. And even when life was difficult or stressful or confusing, my brother had a way of making things feel manageable just by being there beside me. I think one of the greatest gifts in life is having somebody who knew you before the world changed you. And my brother remembers the version of me that existed before, responsibilities, stress, and adulthood. And we didn't always know how lucky we were while we were living those moments, but looking back now, those childhood memories feel priceless because they can never truly be recreated. And there were days where we annoyed each other nonstop, argued over tiny things or acted like enemies for an hour. But by the end of the night, we were usually laughing together again like nothing happened. And our friendship grew stronger as we got older because eventually we stopped focusing on petty arguments and started appreciating the fact that we genuinely enjoyed being around each other. The older I get, the more I understand that the best childhood memories usually aren't expensive vacations or perfect moments. They're the nights spent laughing with the people you love. And my brother helped shape my sense of humor. He helped shape my interests, my confidence, and even the way I look at life. Because growing up around someone leaves pieces of them inside you forever. Some of the most comforting memories I have involve sitting in the same room together, both completely focused on a game while the outside world disappeared for a little while. And, video games really got us through a lot of stuff growing up. And, we eventually started playing later in life as well, and it was just great. But, childhood feels shorter the older you get. Which is why I'm grateful I had somebody beside me helping fill those years with laughter, adventures, and memories worth holding on to forever. Playing games together wasn't really about winning or losing. It was about spending time together in a way that felt natural, exciting, and meaningful without either of us needing to explain it. There's something emotional about remembering how small the world used to feel when all we cared about was beating another level, catching another Pokemon, or making each other laugh. Growing up with my brother taught me that love is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just somebody sitting beside you day after day, becoming a part of your life in ways too deep for words. And, we both changed as we got older, but I'm grateful that the friendship between us stayed strong enough through every phase of life that we went through. And the memories we created together became emotional landmarks in my life. Moments I revisit mentally whenever I need comfort, whenever I need perspective or a reminder of who I really am. My brother was there during the awkward years, the fun years, and the painful years, and the happiest years, which makes our bond feel tied to every version of my life. And I think a lot of people underestimate how important sibling relationships can be until they grow older and realize that those shared memories become a part of the foundation of who you are. But yeah, I just really wanted to share that with you guys and just talk about my brother because, he's always been my best friend and he's always been there through thick and thin and he's always been by my side. And, I think it's really important to just take a moment to cherish that because, not everybody gets that, obviously. Some people are, only child and, if you're an only child, I get that too, but I'm really lucky that I had my brother next to me, We grew from kids fighting over games into real friends. We talked about life, we supported each other, and genuinely enjoyed each other's company on a deeper level. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for all the support and making this a really fun journey on YouTube. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.